you'll see the highlighted section. There's a new section on monitoring system.
Okay.
How was it prior?
I'm sorry.
How was it prior?
Prior, that section didn't exist.
So there was no monitoring system?
There was, it was required still in state board policy, but it wasn't in this actual district.
Okay.
Yes, in the district policy.
In here?
Yep.
This is just adding our state language to our language?
Yep.
Okay. Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Next is 1.905, charter school renewal. This updates reporting and renewal criteria pursuant to changes in state law. So you'll see it adds interim review.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next is policy 1.906, charter school revocation. This updates the revocation of charter school agreements pursuant to changes in state law.
Housekeeping. Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next.
Okay, next is policy 2.403, surplus property sales. This changes the amount required for disposition of equipment purchased with federal laws. This is pursuant to a change in federal law, and it increases it from $5,000 to $10,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Next is policy 2.806, bids and quotations. This adds language for the option of electronic bidding, and that's to receive and send out.
About time.
Any comments or questions?
So
Yes. Ms.
under the
Vaught.
electronic bidding, thank you, Madam Chair, shall not require such small businesses and minority-owned businesses to receive or respond to invitations to bid. So this means if they don't see it in the paper, they can still bid? Yes?
It doesn't require them to do it electronically.
Okay,
They can still do it the old-fashioned way,
okay,
and that's in state law.
thank you.
Any
Madam
comments?
Chair.
Yes, Ms. Darby.
Dr. Sullivan, did we ever get anything put in place as far as like how having someone or how often we're kind of going through like our database of people that we're sending out to, like how often we're updating that file or
I'll find
anything?
out.
Okay,
I'll find out for tomorrow. I have it for tomorrow.
thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught. Thank you, Mr. Creasy. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, next policy is 3.202, the Emergency Preparedness Plan. It adds language to clarify that no more than 2 fire drills are required to occur within the first 30 full school days. This is also pursuant to a change in state law.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Next is 3.2031, which is the threat assessment team. This adds reporting requirements regarding threats pursuant to a change in state law. And you'll see the main part is that reporting section, which requires the director of schools to report things to the board and to parents.
Any questions,
Move
comments?
to approve.
Yes, Dr. Sullivan.
And so we already do a lot of this. The board gets updated anytime that we have pretty much anything that goes on with an emergency. For this, anytime that it's not when a school just gets their SRO to help, it's when the SRO then asks for additional support and contacts. But we go ahead and over-communicate emergencies to our parents, and then we will have a Microsoft Forms created so that at least quarterly you'll have an update of how many we've had.
think this is great because our colleges already do this, and the parents can look at that. It's good information for our parents. Second, did someone second?
Yep, I did.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales. Thank you, Ms. Sharp. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, next policy is 3.400, student transportation management. This has quite a few updates. You'll see there's a lot of language that's highlighted. My printer ran out of yellow ink. There's some sections that are struck out. And then we also have Mr. Lee here to answer any questions.
So this mirrors the taking away, the board being able to provide insurance puts in place the mechanism for the contractor to provide the insurance. This matches, the policy matches what we did.
In number 4 and 5, yes.
Both of them. If you take both of them together, that's how I'm reading it. Is everybody
4 and
else reading
5,
the
yes.
same way?
Number 5, Mr. Vaught, is straight from the contract, the new
Yes,
contract.
that's what
Yes.
that's what I'm referring to.
Correct.
Can you scroll on to the next
Yes.
page? So number 6, whoops, sorry, go up to number 6. So there are no changes to 6 or 7, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So now I'm on page 3. No changes to this
It is
section.
here.
No changes to page 3. All right, page 4 was completely redone. And this is awarding and renewing contracts.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Darby.
I have a few on here, and I'm not sure if Mr. Reed would be best to answer this, some of these questions, because I have a few that I jotted down here when I went through this. The first thing is lines 11 and 12, the plan of action that Dr. Sullivan is to conduct. Do we have like a month or a timeline as to when that's occurring?
We don't right now because this part would be new. So we can put that in policy.
Ms. Maxwell.
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
Dr. Sullivan, I see that the priority lists are all struck out here. And the language here doesn't really put those back in. It just kind of gives some freedom to construct a new thing. Is that kind of what we're aiming for?
Any other questions or comments?
I still have a few. When we list the contracted service providers under those requirements, what are we defining as the contracted service provider? Is that like the person that owns the LLC, whether it be an individual or someone who's then employing drivers?
That to me is the person who signs the contract,
Okay.
whoever that would be. So whoever we have the contracts between the bus contractor and the RCBOE, that would be the contracted service provider.
Okay, I guess one of my questions was number 2 underneath there says, demonstrated previous competent performance as a service provider. And so I'm just wondering, like, how a new bus driver gets started. If they're supposed to have previous experience, how then do new bus drivers get started? Are we requiring that they're driving buses elsewhere before they come here?
You all right? Go for it, Dre.
The intent would be anybody who has driven. So like if you're a driver now and you've driven for a period of time and you've proven that you're competent, the contractor that you're driving for could provide you a letter that says this driver has exhibited all the, and we're going to know because they're going to have been approved to drive for us. So they're going to have a track record for us. That would be one way. Another way would be experience in another district, owning buses in other districts, those kind of things. If you want to provide services to us, you would have to send in your application with the forms filled out, and then we would review them to make sure that we have all the competent information. Part of it is you would have to have the ability to acquire a bus. That we currently have some language like that in our contract, but it's not very, what does that mean? So if you went to a bus dealership and you wanted to be a contractor and they provided you an intent to sell, or you had another entity out there that would guarantees to lease you a bus, there would be these forms that you would fill all this stuff out, and then in the summer, we would take all those forms and you would know prior to school time whether you've been approved to be a contractor for us.
Right.
Currently, all of our contractors, in theory, as long as they're in good standing, would be a competent contractor.
No, I understand that. It's saying that they have to demonstrate previous competent performance. So my basic question is just, is that Rutherford County Schools saying, we're not hiring new to the field bus drivers, like
We're
someone
not-
who hasn't driven a bus before?
If you haven't driven a bus at all and you have 0 days experience, I'm not going to hire you.
Okay, so that's what this is saying. I'm
Yes.
just trying to get clarification on what.
You're going to have to have driven for somebody else. I don't want to be, you walk up, I got a bus. My father used to tell me when I was a carpenter, if he shows up with brand new tools and a brand new pouch, he's a brand new carpenter. Don't hire him. I'm kind of the same way with bus contractors. You're going to have to, if you drove for another contractor for a year or 2 years, out of our district, get a letter from that contractor and from that district that tells me how long you drove, then we'll determine whether
And Ms.
you
Darby,
would be an approved contractor or not.
A new bus driver could drive underneath another contractor. They just can't be the contractor. So we could have somebody with 0 years experience that's hired by a contractor. They just can't be a contractor on their own yet.
They couldn't own their
That's how a
own
new person would
contract.
start.
So I guess my question then, and forgive me because I just don't know, what is the difference then? Because if the concern is about their lack of experience, I guess I'm not understanding, and maybe that's just me not having the knowledge or the background, I'm not understanding what the difference is between, sounds like to me the difference is who owns the bus at that point.
Somebody's putting up their liability for you to drive for them. They're not driving for me. That contractor's responsible for that route, not the driver.
Right, but if they were their own contractor with their own bus, they're now carrying that insurance.
Correct.
So I'm failing to understand where the difference is, because that to me says it's not about the experience. Because if you're going to allow them to drive under XYZ bus services with no experience, why could they then not drive their own bus with no experience?
Because they don't have the experience of managing the bus service. That's why driving for someone else, you learn those experiences and how to manage and what to do.
So you're not wanting them to drive as a contractor, not
Correct.
necessarily a driver?
Correct. Contractor.
Okay.
And it's
That's-
been, and can I?
Go right
yeah.
ahead.
Well, kind of going through this for the last 3 or 4 months and talking to all parties, I think what Trey is saying, in the way the system has been set up, and this was something that contractors had done, I think, years ago, is that when they hired a new driver, there's a prerequisite that they have to drive for somebody for 2 years to get experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after the end of that 2 years experience, then they could apply for a route, right?
Correct.
That's kind of the way it is right now.
It's in the contract, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm going to be the flying ointment right here. Here is something that I observed that I think could possibly help us. The only reason I'm hesitant on some of this is that I can see a possibility. You take a man or woman that's been an over-the-road truck driver, got a CDL license, they're 55 years old. They're tired of being over the road. They've got probably more miles experience navigating traffic, navigating anything. Don't have bus experience, but I believe they could probably learn it pretty quick. If they were to apply for a contract, I would be sympathetic to them personally Because I can see where a 55-year-old could go buy them a new bus that could run for 15 years and retire at 70 years and turn that contract back into us. And so my observation, and you'll understand why I'm saying this, my observation to all of this is we have a lot of our contractors who've got some years on them like me. There's a lot of gray hair out there. And I have been racking my brain for the last 3 months to see, is there a way for us to promote, not necessarily a young person getting involved, because the situation that we saw happen in Chattanooga a few years ago, that horrified me, and I think it horrified everybody on this panel right now, this board. But I do think there's some opportunities for, can I dare say the word middle-age?
Season.
Dr. Martin, can I use the word middle-age now and everybody know what I'm talking about that could come back and do this? That's my only caveat, or I've got a little concern right here that we could, I don't want to say tweak this. I understand the intent of it. I think I agree with 90% of it right now. But if there was a way we could come back maybe and visit some of this later, I don't think I'm opposed to maybe passing it the way it is right now, but us maybe come back and tweak it a little bit. Personally, I would like to talk to the contractors, maybe as the bus liaison from the board. I don't know if y'all want to give me that responsibility or not, but to just, kind of take the temperature of the room just a little bit and say, okay, give me some idea, guys. We've got to diversify. We've got to get people in the communities that are, if we're going to keep this system going the way we've got it, we've got to get people that live in the community to drive in the community. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think you're spot on, because we've struggled with that. And I think originally the 2 years came from the contractor's request. Hasn't that always been?
There was a cost to them to
Yes.
train them, I think, and
Yeah.
I can see that. But would there really be, if a guy, and I don't mean to be sexist here, Ms. Sharp, but man or woman,
No
there's a
harm
lot of
intended.
teen drivers out there. I can see, a lady coming home saying, I've had enough driving over the road, and be very, very valuable to us.
I'll tell you one thing on the other side of that. I think more so than being able to drive the bus is being able to handle the kids.
That's true.
Driving bus is one thing, but boy, handling the kids,
It's a two-edged sword.
It
Bruce.
is.
You're exactly right.
Which lends itself to someone older and seasoned.
Us middle-aged people, right?
I'm middle-aged.
hey, we could give them a test before school started. We could go out here and get us about 30 or 40 yahoos and put them on the bus and make them drive to Chattanooga and back. And if they still on there when they got back, we'd be in good shape. If they stop, put the kids off, and no deal.
Okay, well, moving on from that one, number 4, the financial statement. Is this referring to when it says identified in the agreement for services? Is that referring to something in the contract, the new contract that we just passed?
No, ma'am, but we have no criteria or nothing to state that they can even get a loan for a bus. If they qualify for that would be as simple as you've gone down and you've got the money to borrow. You could get a letter from your bank. You could get a letter from the bus company. You could, whoever, if you're going to lease a bus, a letter that they're going to take care that you're financially responsible to meet your debts.
Would a title be sufficient if they already bought the bus?
Yeah, if they already owned a bus, then they wouldn't, that would be sufficient, yes.
So is the purpose of this for them proving that they're going to have a bus, essentially?
Pretty much, because right now, they can get a route, and then it can take up to 60 to 90 days to get a bus. So we're not any better off for 60 to 90 days. We would like to have these contractors to know that they have access to a bus.
Before we assign them a route.
Exactly.
Yes.
So is it possible to reword that? Because to me, this sounds like you're wanting access to like their financial information, banking type stuff. I would prefer for it to say something more along like what we just said.
We ask for banking stuff for other things, but if you just want to make it that you're able to provide a form that you can get a bus, then I don't have a problem with that.
I just think it's, I mean, they're independent contractors, so what their finances and their banking is really isn't our lane per se, but I understand wanting to make sure that this person that's gonna have this contract has the actual bus. I just think there's probably a better way of asking for that.
Our contractors that we do business with have to provide what's called an AIA 305, which is their banking information, before they could even bid. But if you want to limit that to ability to provide a bus, then I'm fine with that.
I think we should require them to provide financial statement because we can't just take them for the word, right? If we remove that, we're just taking the word that they're going to have a bus, right? Is that
Well,
what
that
we're
right
going to be
there
doing?
is more, it includes more than the bus. We currently have some contractors now that struggle to get their bills paid.
Right, but the form you're talking about that you get is for another purpose. This line was to make sure that they were going to have a bus, correct?
And they're financially able to pay for that bus.
Right.
Would they still fill out that form though?
It's a different form.
It's
That's
a
for
whole
general
different-
contractors. It's a different form. It's kind of requesting the same information. But I'm
Who made-
fine with a letter from a bank or a bus.
That's what I'm saying, like if they provide proof that they have been approved for their loan for this bus or whatever that is,
Either approval for a loan or
Title.
cash in the bank to buy a bus or a title to a bus.
Trey, who's gonna approve it?
The bank?
Who's gonna approve what they got enough or not?
The bank?
We would. I
Oh.
mean, we would look at it, I'll tell you exactly what I do. If they come in with Mid-South Bus with a contract, I'm gonna call Mid-South Bus and talk to them. Find out what their arrangement is, because if they can't pay the bus, Mid-South's on the hook. I don't need us on the hook.
So you're the one that basically approves it?
It'd be Wanda and I, but if we had any question, we would come to Dr. Sullivan. I mean, we're not looking, the other districts, we got some of this from Knox County and some from Hamilton and some from Montgomery, different, the way they go about things we're trying to loosen it up to give us some flexibility to get more people,
Right.
but we don't need it to be the Wild Wild West. And I know it may be oversimplification.
Do y'all have yardstick basically to go by? I mean, or you just in your own mind, or do you have a yardstick basically to look at how much?
If they've satisfied Mid-South Bus, they've satisfied me. Because Mid-South Bus is going to be either taking a check or they're going to be collecting a loan. And if they're going to have, to get a loan for a bus, you've got to provide your banking information and your ability to pay to them. So they've basically cleared them to pay for the bus. I'm just looking for somebody other than us to guarantee that they can pay.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. If we reword this to provide a letter from the bank, and then you approve them, but then something happens and the deal falls through, what happens at that point?
They turn in their route.
They turn in their route. I mean, it happens currently. I mean, we have people that, have unexpected financial situations each year. It's not something where we have 20 people turn in a bus every year, but
Yeah.
there's somebody every year due to some health condition or some other mechanism. We have a mechanism in the contract for them to be able to turn that route in, which would allow them to be out of the obligation for the bus, sell it, turn it back in, whatever they need to do to satisfy their own thing.
Yeah.
so
I think this is more for the first year more than anything, because if you've been with the county more than at least 2 or 3 years or 10 years, then there's already established a history of owning buses.
I'm not looking for it from everybody that we got. If you're already working for us, you've already satisfied this criteria.
Right, exactly. So this should
This is for
applies
new.
really more for the first year.
If it's working good,
If
if
it's
it's working
working.
good, I don't know why we'd change it.
I think we had some questions over here.
Well, if you might indulge me just a second, Trey, how imperative is this to get approved today?
As long as the current contractors accept all of our routes, it's not.
Okay.
But if they don't, and I've got to bring in someone else, then
Yeah, I don't want to dodge the bullet. I feel like we're trying to digest a lot, and I'm going to share with the rest of this committee some situations I stumbled upon. Trey may not mention this, Trey may not know about it, but there have been some, and I'm not putting words in your mouth right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what he was referring to, we have to have something here because it can't be the Wild Wild West. There have been instances where somebody has gotten a route awarded to them and then them never buy the bus, they've leased the bus from another company, there's another driver in there, their name may be on the contract, but they have nothing in it. In other words, they've brokered the deal and they're taking a slim portion off the top because they got awarded that. I am not in favor of that. The success of the owner-operator, the small contractor in this county has been those community people that have lived in the community, that have driven that same bus for 20, 30 generations, some of them generational. I want to do everything we can to make sure those continue to happen. And the guys and ladies that are in this to make a quick buck, to turn around and flip these routes, flip these buses, it's akin to what I have seen go on in the real estate business for the last 3 years. And I just think with Trey right here, I think we've got to tighten it up a little bit. I don't know exactly that we've got all the language in there that we want, or at least I want. But I do feel like I need to make the committee aware of some of the situations I stumbled upon during our contract negotiation. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if we postpone this for 30 days. I don't want to put it off. It's got to be addressed. We've got to bring it up to date.
Ms. Maxwell.
Next contract. So
Mr. Tidwell.
I don't know everybody else's thoughts.
I'm going to throw you an idea out there. What if we do approve it so that then it goes to the board meeting and then we can have more discussion at the board meeting so that we're not restricted to another quarter before we make a decision?
And that could be fine. And we can come back and tweak it in a quarter
Yeah.
if you want to.
Oh, no, I mean, so we don't have to wait a quarter. We could, if we got approved of the language currently, we can still adjust it at the board meeting. This is more of a recommendation table.
Yeah.
Is that something that everybody?
I'm not sure I'll be ready Thursday night, but we can
Oh,
try.
yeah, it wouldn't even have to be
Okay, make
Thursday.
it
I'm
on
just,
next month.
Okay.
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Would it make more sense to postpone it, have the discussion at the board to revise it how we want, and just have the board approve this policy?
The only concern that I would have is just what Trey said, is if all the routes don't get taken up and we need to go back to some of this language, I'd rather get some of that approved. So.
Does it need to be approved?
The insurance provision needs to go ahead and get
What about
approved
parts?
today. Yep. So that portion needs to be approved today.
Okay.
I'll make a motion and we approve it.
Second, the insurance,
The insurance portion, is that what we're approving?
right?
Or total?
That's
I'll
right,
make a motion for all of it.
for the whole thing? I thought you,
No, we need to,
So that it'll go to
we
the
need
board
to
for
flesh out
discussion?
some more.
I'm sorry?
So that it'll go to the board for
Then
discussion?
you want us to go to the board for discussion?
We can do that. And then we can make changes there. Are you okay with that, Trey?
I'm fine with whatever y'all want, but this is the problem. If we don't have something in place, even if you want me to, you tell me how you want to word number 4, number 6, what verbiage you would like to see. If we don't have all routes taken on the 24th, I have no mechanism to go outside and get anybody.
Gotcha.
I'm dead in the water.
Mr. Arden.
Mr. Reed, can I ask, the insurance information is in the contract, correct?
Yeah.
So I guess my question then would be if this is repeating what's already in the contract that has already been approved and taken place,
Does it need to be a
why is this then repeated in policy? Why wouldn't the policy just say, that the insurance requirements are as presented in the contract that was approved on with the date?
You can do that, but this currently says that the county carries bus insurance on the buses. So that's not happening anymore. So
Yeah,
it has to be
4 and 5 have to come out.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to understand, because then the question for me is gonna come, has anybody looked at all of the changes in here, compared them word for word to the contract? Because if there are discrepancies between the contract and this policy, what supersedes at that point? And I guess you as the attorney, or have you or Ms. Ridley done that? Has there been like a side-by-side comparison to the current contract and this policy?
That's what I was trying to.
The section 5, section 4 on here now? The bus insurance language is the same from the contract verbatim. You don't have to have that in the policy. The policy just could say the insurance shall be handled as addressed in the contract, if you wanted to do that. But the language that we have in here currently with respect to contractors getting their own insurance is the same that's in the bus contract.
Right, but the rest of this policy, there's been a whole lot of stuff like added and changed throughout the rest of this policy. So, because it's all highlighted, correct, Ms. Ridley? And it's a little kind of hit or miss on my pages. I know you said your printer was out of ink, but it looks like quite a bit of page 5, and I think all of page 6.
Correct.
This was all sent to us, wasn't it?
Yes.
Ms. Sharp?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, can we stay with Mr. Long's motion and just say pages 1 through 4, and then postpone pages 5 and 6 for further review?
Yes, Dr. Sullivan.
As long as the board realizes that when we don't have all routes filled on July 24th, we have no way
That's
to fill those
Thursday.
routes.
Yeah,
You gotta
well,
remember,
I don't
that's
wanna do
before
that.
the board
I
meeting
don't wanna do
Thursday.
that.
We need to approve this
I
thing,
want to
and
have something so that they can have something to go after, because
they got
we
to hit the road running
have all
Thursday.
our routes filled, so they need something that they can use. So
We can come
we
back
need
and
to make
change
it
it
right, we make
later.
it right.
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
Throw another wrench in here. Yeah, but, you want to take the floor? You want to ask? We had a great question down here, so we just want to.
Mike's on? Okay, this is on page 2, under number 6, whereas the third paragraph, where it reads additionally, it starts additionally, a certificate may be revoked if the school bus driver is convicted, and then it has various offenses other than the drug charge. It appears all of them are driving charges, but with the greatest passenger on that bus is our students. And we don't have anything if they're convicted of a child abuse or sexual offense to a child. Would we not want to include that, or is that covered somewhere else?
So all our bus drivers still have to pass a background check when they apply. And now we participate in the RAP Back program. So just like our regular employees, if there's something on their background that's a disqualifying offense, I don't approve those, okay? They're automatically disqualified. If after they've been hired, they get a criminal charge, which is a disqualifying offense, because they're in the RAP Back program, that would be sent to us, and then that would disqualify them from driving. So all those kind of things, the terrible, violent drug offenses, felony level offenses, disqualify people from employment in the school system. Yes. Yes, volunteers, anyone who's in our schools working with our kids has to be background checked.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Stark.
Ms. Ridley, we're only doing those background checks every 5 years?
No, ma'am.
Are we doing them every year?
So prior to us being in that RAP Back program, on existing employees, we were doing it every 5 years, when you got hired, and then every 5 years. Now we participate in the RAP Back program, which means if I got arrested tomorrow, I haven't been here a full 5 years, that would come back, and HR would be notified that I have been arrested.
Because we've already pulled that, so it kind of triggers to
Yes,
notify you
it's
on
in-
people you've pulled.
Right,
Okay,
it's continuous.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, yes, Dr. Sullivan.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up is I know there's been discussion with number 34, so we during the bus contract. Now, you want to hit on that at all?
No, I was going
Line
after
34
that.
on page 6, sorry.
The very end one.
Page 6,
I
number
had
34.
questions on that one as
Yep.
well.
So no contractor shall have more than 20 contracts, so if the board were to approve something like that, I think we also need to discuss, does that include subleases? Because we have contractors that sublease out and have over 10% of our entire fleet.
What is
Can
the,
I comment?
Yeah, please. I don't know where that came from, I just know that it was added, so.
Can I comment on that just a
Yes.
second? Some of the issues that, again, I discovered during our negotiation, again, there are people, contractors that own part interest, they're three-way deals, they're two-way deals, there's all kinds of deals. And I have a concern about all that, is that these need to be, if there's enough and I think about this, as much as this board went to bat to increase the contractor's pay this year, if there's enough profit margin in there that they can sublease these things out and they can trade them around and they can play it, it's almost like monopoly money just a little bit. Something's not exactly right, okay? I'm just going to be very honest right there. I do believe, after talking to many of the contractors, I think one person can manage safely, 10 buses. I've watched some of them operate. Most of them that have 5 to 6 to 8 buses will have 1 or 2 backup buses. They can afford to do that. There becomes an economy of scale. I get that. I'm not so naive to sit over here and think that every, man and woman is going to have 2 or 3 routes within their household. I'm not trying to put anybody out of business. But I think when we turn this thing loose and you have somebody that's got 20, 30 routes, if that's the case, guys, then we really should bid out the whole transportation program, and that's not what we want, right? I think we've all been on record here to say we like the system that we have, but when you put the control in a handful of people, and that's what you're saying here, I don't know that it needs to be 20, but, we can start at 20. It used to be 10, didn't it? Or 8 or something like that? 6.
And then it was taken out under our previous contract.
So it went from 6 to
We
open.
went from 6 to undetermined.
Correct.
And I've got a concern with that. My personal belief is we need to limit it to 10. I know I'm going to take it on the chin with probably a half dozen of our contractors, but I don't think it's good business to tie up this many kids. And I hate to remind everybody, we were almost held hostage right at the end of the school year this year. So anyway, I don't know. I would like to hear discussion from the rest of the board or committee about the 20.
Yeah, Mr. Tidwell.
You need to jump in?
Well, the only thing I was going to say, the thing you have to remember, if you're a husband and a wife, they can double up pretty quick.
And that would be 40.
That's my
That's my concern.
Well, that's the other thing we have for you to think about, because that's what, when it was 6, that's what husband and wives did. They created 2 separate companies,
and they could have
12.
And I can see that working. I really can see that working.
Mr. Tidwell.
Yeah, I agree. Everything that Stan just mentioned here, I'd say some of the same concerns. I'm totally good with keeping it under 20. If we need to drop that threshold down to 15, I'm good with that as well. As Stan also pointed out, which is what I was going to point out as well, is during the negotiations of this contract, it was a select few at the top that had a larger portion of these buses that were pushing around some of the mom and pops. It's those mom and pops on the back of them that our school system runs. And we don't want to push them out. I did not like some of the antics that were going on. I would like to see this less centralized instead of more centralized. And I agree with Stan, if we're going to just open the gates wide open and just let this, well, first off, they said they couldn't hardly afford to run a bus, and now they're running businesses and buses. But if we're going to keep that the way that it is, then yeah, open it up and centralize it, which I am not for. So I can't agree any more than the words that Stan's already said here, but I just want to add that other piece on there, that if we're going to drop it down, we don't have to be a drastic drop. We might need to fill routes anyways. I think we're going to be a few routes short, maybe from Hamall Field. Maybe we don't need to make the major change this year, but certainly not above that 20 threshold. And I am okay even dropping that down just a little bit if you don't think it's going to mess up this year. I know we're close to the timeline. But mom and pops run this system. That is the best thing for this system, not having a bunch of businesses running a bunch of buses.
I just picked 20 as a conversation piece.
Well, you got the conversation.
Well, we have a motion on the floor, and we have a second, that we can continue this discussion at our next board meeting. And but we can go ahead and vote tonight, because they do need.
I'd like to go ahead and make the change to that line about the financial statement if we're going to go ahead and approve this. That number 4 on line 38 on page 5.
on that number 4, you could say proof acceptable to the Transportation Department of adequate funding sources to successfully meet the criteria identified in the agreement for services.
I'm fine with that. Would that work, Trey?
Yes,
That would be proof acceptable to the Transportation Department of adequate funding sources.
Like a letter of intent or something like that.
They bought the bus, a bank letter, a letter of commitment from a bank. It could be any number of things, so long as it's acceptable with the Transportation Department. And they would use their reasonable judgment to decide what is acceptable.
Also, Monica, line 26 on page 6, it's F. I think the word "you" needs to be taken out of there. It says a description of the equipment "you" to be used in the performance of assigned services. I think it's just a typo. Is it supposed to be saying a description of the equipment to be used in the performance of assigned services?
Yeah, I think that's
Okay,
just the
so
typo.
if we can strike the "you" out of that line.
And what are we doing with line 34?
I want to make, then we got a motion on the floor.
Yes.
I want to amend the motion on the floor to change line 34 to 10 contracts.
What was that number?
10.
10.
10. He wants to change it from 20 to 10.
I have a question about that, and this might be more for Mr. Reed or Mr. Lee.
Let's see if we can second.
I do know that I've heard some rumblings about a few different things. When the insurance thing came up, I know we had some contractors say, I'm not doing it anymore if I have to carry the liability. And I know some of them will go drive for other people because the liability is on that company and not on them personally. That's my concern with dropping this lower than the 20, because if we're having things like that occur, and then we start limiting how, to that degree, how many people can hold those contracts, my concern would be that we may then start creating a bigger issue with drivers.
Ms. Maxson?
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
How many contractors have more than 15 buses underneath them?
Less than a handful.
In a handful. So you're talking about a handful.
Got a spreadsheet. Yeah. Yeah, we got a spreadsheet somewhere.
Okay, just rough idea.
3.
Okay. 3 to 5. I think 15 is probably a sufficient number. Katie's concern is real. I do know contractors that have tried to umbrella underneath because of the insurance thing. So I totally get that. 10 seems a little steep to me just because we're so close. But, Sand, if you want to do 15, you got a second out of me.
I'll say 12.5.
In the middle of half a bus.
Oh, that's good.
Willing to change it to.
I mean, if nobody would second it, sure.
I'll second yours.
Let's just see. I mean, if we don't,
I'll
we'll
second
come back
Steve's
to
10.
15. We'll figure out what the tolerance level is.
Okay, well, let's.
And I would make this comment. I appreciate, yes, I agree with you. I'm just sitting here thinking, again, if you've got 2 spouses or 2 partners, John Higgins, I could have 15, John Higgins could have 15, but it's operating under the same umbrella. There's 30 of us. I mean, we are a transportation company then. We're not.
I see, I get that.
That's my only, I think 20, I can see a bunch of them doing 20, and then they have their own shop, and I don't know. That's the reason I said.
Yeah, I think, we talk about decentralizing that bus thing.
Yeah,
It makes a lot more sense than 15. I mean, because mom and pop could have 20.
And I will say this, the crew, when I say my crew, the ones that I talk to consistently, the ones at Las Casas, Walter Hill, now we can all name them, but most of them land in that 6, 8. I don't know that anybody's over 12, and or 10, and if they are, they probably split them between husband and wife or business partner already. So, and if they are, then this still gives them an opportunity to grow. That's a lot of buses. I mean, you know, you got two at 15, that's 30, that's 10% of our fleet. That would be my only other, you know, then you get it down, well, we're just dealing with 10 people. If there were 10 people that had 30 routes apiece, then we're, you know, we've really put our moms and pops out of business. I hate to call it that, but y'all know what I mean, right? Anyway,
Well, you have an amendment, and seconded by Ms. Rosales.
Second.
So let's do a roll call.
Is the amendment for 10, just to be clear on the record?
It is 10.
Okay.
And just to add one more other piece, everything discussed here, it's just recommendations. It's not concrete. So it
No,
won't
we
go
still
to
have
vote.
to.
I'm willing to move. Trey, last question. If this gets pushed in through, we vote on it, we're not, obviously not voting on Thursday, but we go through 2 readings. Will it be effective immediately after the second reading, or is this something that we are going to be doing later on?
We'd probably ask for it to be on one.
We can do it.
We're going to try to do it on one.
So all these policies that are before you, and I'm sorry, I should have said this at the beginning. We're going to ask that all these be passed on one, so to suspend the rules and pass on one reading.
This Thursday.
I planned on that being the August 5th or 6th meeting.
Okay.
Now, I know there's a few of these that we may want to pull out for this meeting on Thursday. I can do that. I can't do all these for Thursday.
Yeah.
But if, you know, if some of these are necessary this week, I can definitely work on getting those on the agenda.
We need to get this one done tonight because Trey's got tape Thursday.
And we don't know if we're gonna have bus routes.
So we're gonna take care of
I
this.
think you would have Thursday night, because you're gonna approve it anyway, if you wanted to make a slight change Thursday
Yeah.
night. If you vote on your motion tonight, pass it. If you wanted to make a change, you could make a change Thursday
That's
night
right.
and vote. At that point, one reading,
Be done.
let it go, and that would put us in a position to move on Friday.
Because otherwise you would need to, if this waited till August 5th, we would start the school year without.
I have no mechanism, and I'm gonna say it again. I hope our current contractors pick up the bus routes that I think are uncovered, or they haven't turned in their insurance yet. We've got 5 that I call uncovered. We've gone through Tier 1, Tier 2, and we're fixing to turn it loose into Tier 3, which means anybody that wants it can come get it. That's currently working for us. If those routes are not picked up, I have no mechanism to do anything else until y'all vote for this in August. If you don't do something Thursday night.
How much it pay?
Sir?
Hey, how do you lower your voice?
How much it pay? Does that mean?
How much does it pay me or pay the?
I wouldn't drive a bus. No,
Oh,
never
that's-
mind.
Okay, so we've got, the amendment is that no contractor shall have more than 10 contracts during any school year.
Hey, question, policy lady. If,
Monica?
I'm sorry, know what I meant.
No one's ever called me that before.
Monica, again, you'll just be policy lady.
Policy lady, right? She leads us in this.
Policy, no.
If there's any policy we have, can it be nullified, voided, pushed to the side for an emergency? Do we have that discretion as a board?
Director of schools can put it on the agenda before it goes through policy.
And this may be more of a Jeff question than it is Monica.
There is a policy. Mr. Reed, do you want to take that one?
The director of schools can't make modifications on a temporary basis to fulfill emergency purposes.
To deviate from a
Deviate.
policy.
But if there's any kind of major change to the policy, that would have to come back to the board.
Like this one, I wouldn't make changes to because it's too much of a hot.
No,
Topic.
and that's the reason I said, the question came up, Katie brought it up, said, okay, well, what if we get 2 weeks from now, and we've got somebody that's got 10 routes already, and they want to pick up 2, can we deviate from it? What's the mechanism to deviate?
A special board meeting to address the situation.
I would be
Or
willing
can you add it
to an agenda.
like if my concern is this, I don't want to get to the start of the school year and we have routes sitting out there that are uncovered and we have people with buses and drivers, but because of what we just did here, we now have routes sitting with nobody to drive them. I think that that's not a good way to go. So my question would be, can you add to this line?
Unless specifically approved by the board for more than 10 routes or something.
Well, or you can do it on a per route basis. If RCS is found to have uncovered routes, Director of Transportation has the authority to then award them additional routes beyond the 10. Something to that effect.
In my opinion, at that point, the director needs to be the one that makes that call.
Well-
We can make a recommendation, but the director would be the one to make the approval.
The question is, do you want to make the call or do you want us to make the call?
I'd probably put it before the board to avoid favoritism.
Okay.
'Cause that's what I'm going to get
Would you
accused of
then have to,
favoritism.
but then the question is, would you then have to call a special call meeting?
We just add it to the next one. If we already can't fill a route, we meet enough, that we would add it to the next agenda.
We would
Okay.
do what we do now. We would cover it for a week till y'all could have a board meeting, because we're fixing to be back in the
So
area.
can we,
week
before we
cycle.
vote on this, can we add that so that we're not stuck in a position where you can't do anything because of the way this was written?
Put the caveat in there.
So no contractor shall have more than 10 contracts during the school year unless specifically approved by the board.
Unless what?
Specifically approved by the board.
I just worry about people saying that you're doing it for favoritism reasons, which is why I said it would be nice if it was worded when there are unfilled
Okay,
routes.
that's good, yeah. When unfilled routes exist.
Yes. Okay.
When there's
Is that an amendment? Are you making an amendment? Do we need to
And are you
vote
making
on that?
amendment?
Yes,
Amendment?
I heard it, yes. Good with that. Right in there,
You're gonna
with that. I
accept-
thought I stated that to start with.
So are you going to accept Ms.
Yes,
Darby's
yes, I
suggestion?
think
Okay.
she is
Can we read
wise
it?
in doing that.
So,
So line 34, no contractor shall have more than 10 contracts during any school year unless specifically approved by the board when unfilled routes exist.
When unfilled routes exist.
I got it. I got it. Roll call?
yes, please.
All right.
One thing, Trey, do we know, does any contractor have more than 10 routes now?
Yeah.
Does any contractor have more than 10 routes?
Do we have a contractor with more than 10 routes? Yes.
Here's another question, Mr. Reed. I think
Breaking news.
these policies are supposed to go into effect August 5th.
Or whenever the board approves them. Like
But
if
that's-
this one was on August 20, or July 24th, then it would go into effect July 25th.
Okay, so my question for you, Mr. Reed, is in their contract, 3.1 says that they have to have 30 days notice for policy changes affecting buses. So then my question becomes, are we then approving those that have more than 10 for 30 days and then switching?
I think the ones that already have it this year are grandfathered in, it's the easiest. They've
For
already-
the school year? And this would be more like, that particular portion would be more
I
like
think if
for
you're
next
over
school year?
10 now, we wouldn't take routes away. You just would be capped at where you are,
Okay.
unless you were specially approved.
I
I
just,
agree, there's no way to go. Yeah.
Does that language need to be added?
I mean,
Because I would,
that's the way I'll operate, but I think it needs to be in writing.
do we,
Just that they're capped where they are, and we're not going to take their routes away. And the only way they could go up above where they are now is that special exception if they wanted to take a route that nobody else took and the director
so
brought
do
it
we
to the
just,
board.
help me add that language.
Grandfather routes over 10
Yeah.
this year. Any contractors currently having 10 or more routes are grandfathered for
The
this school
25,
year?
26 school
For
year.
the 25, 26 school year.
Yeah.
Yes. Do any contractors have more than 20 buses? Any one
Nobody has more than 20 contracts.
But you have some with more than
person
subleases.
doesn't have more than 20 contracts.
Correct.
So one group could have 30 buses?
A husband, the most that I'm aware of, top of my head, husband and wife, they probably have 8 apiece. So they got 16.
And that's the
But it's
largest?
2 separate contracts. No, we have a couple of individuals that have more than 10.
Do they have 20?
No,
Right at it.
12 to 15 contracts.
One person.
Yes,
But are they in business together?
one person.
One person.
Are we going to address the subleases or not?
I don't know how you prove it.
Let's see how this operates.
Okay.
Let's see how this operates, and then
Okay.
if it is abused, it'll get tighter.
That's a good point, yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So are we saying line 34 is to take effect the 26-27 school year?
25, 26.
I wouldn't put a year on it.
Should I?
Well,
should
but
I reread that?
we just said those that are starting this school year that already have them.
They're
Already
just
have them.
grandfathered
They're
forever.
grandfathered
This year.
They're grandfathered for 4 years.
Well, we may have already signed a 4-year contract with some of these contractors, so we may be obligated already for 4-year contracts with these folks. And if they bought buses in reliance on having a contract, I don't know how you can go back and take that away.
I don't think you can, but if they turned around that's what I'm getting back
They
to.
cannot, if they turn around in, that becomes their cap.
Yeah, that's what I'm
If you
getting.
got 12 and you turn one in,
I don't think we can void the contract we've already signed.
you become 11.
This section 34, we probably need to make we probably need to be careful with our language here and bring that back to the board meeting and address that at the board level rather than trying to craft that stuff on the spot tonight.
Let's do what we've done, and then you craft it, and let's
We can-
review it
We
Thursday
can
night.
tweak it Thursday. Okay.
Because I would want these people here to have some input.
Yeah. So, in other words, can we approve it, then you come back
Yes.
at the board meeting and
He's
redo it?
gonna give us better verbiage.
Okay, good.
Okay.
That'll work.
Okay. Okay, Monica, Ms. Ridley. Because we
I'll
can
see
go
my
ahead
people.
So
and,
we're voting on the
we're gonna vote on the amendment.
amendment to the
Yeah.
amendment to the amendment.
Okay.
Someone state the amendment.
All right.
Ms.
Let me
Ridley, could you-
reread it.
Yes, please, thank you.
The amendment is to change line 34 on page 6 to state as follows. No contractor shall have more than 10 contracts during any school year unless specifically approved by the board when unfilled routes exist. Any contractor holding more than 10 routes shall be grandfathered for the 25-26 school year.
Okay.
And that's the language
Okay.
we'll fix. Okay, roll call. Mr. Vaught,
Yes.
Which one?
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Sharp,
Yes.
Ms. Rosales,
Yes.
Darby,
Yes.
Mr. Tidwell,
Yes.
Ms. Maxwell,
Yes.
Dr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Dr. Martin,
Yes.
Dr. Goulian,
Yes.
Mr. Creasy, Ms. Card, Mr. Scales, Mr. Hartman.
Yes.
Yeses. Now we need to vote for the entire thing, and we'll discuss this again on Thursday before we vote. Okay?
Right.
I don't believe we need to do a roll call on the whole thing. I think we could do it by acclamation.
Oh, on the full policy?
Yeah, because we're going to tweak it.
Can I just clarify that we are changing line 4 on page 5 to what we discussed, the proof acceptable to the transportation department for adequate
Yes.
funding sources, correct?
Yes,
Including that?
yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Vaughn, you made the motion. Ms. Rosales, did you second it? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
I appreciate it.
Okay, next up is policy 3.500, school nutrition management. This updates language regarding charges for meals.
I'll take it.
And Dr. Sullivan, I think you have a few changes.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, you guys know we've dealt with just astronomical charges for the last several years. So this policy rewrite proposes to put some stipulations on it. So if you'll be on page 2, starting on line 15 and 16, really you'll see we're striking there will be no limit to the amount of reimbursable meals provided. And so that's how we could have students that would just continually build that. So you'll see the rewrite, and I'll just read it because I've got to make a change. It's the intent of the district that the school nutrition program provides the opportunities for each student to have a nutritious meal every day. However, if circumstances required, students may charge their meal in accordance with the following. We have changed it from what you have there to elementary, middle, and high school students can charge meals as long as the balance does not exceed $60. And so we had discussed having elementary, middle not having a range and then high school having 40. I think it'd be easier for everybody if we just had a set amount for everyone. So you can charge up to $60. Only 60, yep.
Okay.
We were thinking that's about 2 weeks roughly of breakfast and lunch. Only one meal may be charged per meal service per school day. And so a student can only get one meal for breakfast, one meal for lunch. They can't charge more than that. Adult charges are not allowed. And here's 5 and 6 are big. A la carte items may not be charged. And so if you have an outstanding balance, you can't go and charge for chips or something else you want to add. Same for 6. A la carte purchases cannot be made if there's a negative charge balance on the account. And so you can't go and charge if you owe money somewhere. The rest of it doesn't change. We'll still send charge notifications home. Students will still get a meal. It'll be an alternate meal. We don't like necessarily advertising or talking about how if a kid brings lunch and they need an alternate meal, we'll then give them that alternate meal instead. So.
Yes, Ms. Sharp.
So with number 5, that means a la carte items cannot be charged, period.
Correct.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I didn't know that they could.
Yeah.
My
They
understanding
can.
that you couldn't, that
They
you could charge a regular meal, but not a la carte, because those are
Yeah.
usually kind of specialty
Not
items.
supposed to. You'll see it's in line 17, but it happens.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
this puts it all together.
Okay.
So I have a question. So if it,
Goes Allison.
I'm sorry, in number 2, if it exceeds $40 for high school students,
60.
60 for everybody.
Just change it to 60
60
for everybody.
for everybody.
They'll be given an alternate meal, which won't be the same as the other, but they will be given food. We're not going to let any kid go hungry.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
I'm sorry, I can barely hear. What did you say right there?
Do what?
You said
That's
they'll be given an
alternate
alternate.
They'll still be given an alternate meal. No student's going to go hungry, but it's not going to be the full a la carte item or the full item that is like a $3.75. It'll be an alternate meal.
Okay.
Yes, Mr.
I know
Zell.
this isn't, I know we're talking about the policy, but, I know I've been on the bandwagon about the back meal debt, and this falls in line with back meal debt. Did we ever try, I know you and I, Dr. William, we sat together, and there was a plan with different things that we were going to implement to try to circumvent some of this issue. Did we ever try to do that?
Oh, yes, ma'am. That's
We've-
been going on.
We've tried everything except taking parents to court.
Yeah.
Well, this looks like this will
It should.
Well,
Should lower the
Well,
limit.
lower
at
some of
least.
this, because I wasn't, like I said, I thought that the meal debt was over just the school lunch. I didn't know it was for a la carte items and other things.
Right.
I always thought ice cream and other stuff was extra. Yes, Ms. Darby?
Dr. Sullivan?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's hard to hear.
It is.
So just for anyone in the public watching, can you kind of go through, when they are charging up debt, they can charge up to $60. Can you
yes.
please talk about what's happening once it hits $60?
Yeah.
So that people, anyone listening,
Yeah.
understands.
So parents will be getting notifications along the way. So because they're charging weekly, every Friday, it'll send a notification, email, and phone call of how much their student charges. If they get to $60 and they have their meal, then when they get to go for that next time's charge and they get that $60, we'll give them an alternate meal instead.
So we're just letting everybody know they are still getting food.
Absolutely,
Nobody's
still getting
going
food.
hungry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody's going hungry.
They have to have a meal,
Okay.
regardless.
Yes.
They have money, they have to have a meal.
You have to have a meal. Exactly. Any other questions? Will that be in multiple languages?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I'll take a motion. Thank you, Mr. Tidwell.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
Next is policy 4.100, instructional program. This adds the definition of anti-Semitism pursuant to change in state law.
Any comments or questions?
Move to approve, Madam
Second.
Chair.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next.
And you'll see that's in several policies, but I'll try to point them out as we go along. Policy 4.212, virtual education program. This adds a hybrid learning option in the event of dangerous or extreme weather pursuant to a change in state law.
Yes, Mr.
We will still use our inclement weather days first. This would only be in the event that we did not, or we ran out of our inclement weather days, or we couldn't get it approved by the commissioner. So there was a lot of chatter on social media, snow days are gone, all those different types of things. No, we will still, this would be the last resort. Last resort.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr. Rosales?
Monica, should we put here that it's limited to 4 days? It can't, because I've always understanding the state law said it's continuous for 4 days. I thought there was a restriction on how the
They
length of
changed it
days.
this year.
I'm sorry?
They changed it this year.
So it's an infinite number of days?
I don't think it's infinite. You have to get commissioners of education approval.
I thought it was 4.
Pull it up. It used to be 4.
I thought it was that you can do that, but it was limited to 4 days. Or I guess, well, if I misunderstood it, then I apologize.
I did not see a number of days in the public chapter when I looked.
Okay. I thought I had understood it was 4 days, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's fine.
Move to approve.
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
And Ms. Rosales, I can find that out for you before
right,
the
thank you.
next meeting. Yes, ma'am. Next is policy 4.301, interscholastic athletics. This adds language for participation in interscholastic athletics for students attending virtual schools. This is pursuant to a change in state law.
We already allow it, but it puts it in policy.
With what?
We already allow it. If the virtual school doesn't have that program, they can go to their zone school to participate.
Zone school, not any school.
Correct.
we just
Zone
decided
school.
to go to.
Has to be zone
Yeah.
school.
Does it, you say they are approved? Can the principal deny that?
They can still try out. Just like a homeschool student, they would be able to try out.
Yeah, 'cause before
Better
they
be a,
came out.
better be a stud.
Move to approve.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, next is 4.403, library materials. This adds language that materials may not be excluded from school libraries solely on the grounds that the materials are religious. This is pursuant to a change in state law. Mr. Reed, do you want to add anything on this one?
So I think it's self-explanatory. So we have the Quran, we could have the Bible, all that in the library.
Move to approve?
Second.
Thomas? Thank you. I don't know who chimed in first, but I'm going to go with Mr. Tidwell.
I chimed in first. Oh, the second?
You second, yeah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Okay, next is policy 4.406, use of the internet. This updates district internet use regarding age-appropriate content, access to social media platforms, and protection of personal information. This is pursuant to a change in state law. And you'll see the two sections are basically, this is a restatement of what we already had, and then the social networking is new. And states that student can't access social media platforms using district internet except when expressly authorized for education purposes.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr. Rosales.
I have a question on that, number 17, 18. When will the teacher use it as a form of education for it to go on the social media platforms? Because the whole reason why the whole cell phone policy is in place and it went through all that to the state is so that they could be limited to social media.
Yeah, but a teacher very well could put on their school page or their accounts, things the students were doing for that day, and if they're not allowed to access it during the day, then they can't update it. Like we have HOSA, we have any of those groups, they'd post during the day too.
Okay.
Ms. Sharp?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a perfect example. Our marketing department at Laverne High School has been wanting to do some marketing of some of the things that are going on at Laverne High School. And up to this point, they have been prohibited from doing that. So this is a good step in the right direction to be able to kind of show off our students. So I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Next is policy 4.600, grading system. This adds some cleanup language, grading of advanced coursework and performing arts courses.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Next is 4.601, reporting student progress. This adds the screener scores to K through 8 report cards. This is pursuant to a change in state law.
Any comments or questions?
I've got one.
Yes, Ms. Sharp. I'm sorry. Go ahead first.
Line 4 and 5 talks about the director of school should develop a reporting procedure. Our reporting procedure is Skyward or whichever one we go to. And so that's how parents access how their student is doing. We've already talked to Skyward this year, and they're going to add in the reader screening and dyslexia screener for parents to be able to see.
Question. Are these going to be sent home in paper as well?
Just
No.
online.
So then my question is, this says that they have to be signed. So are they going to have the option to be able to electronically sign?
Where's that?
Each report shall be signed by the parents and returned promptly to the school. Line 3 at the very top.
That is definitely very old that it's been in there. Since 2009.
Yeah.
We have not been doing that for a very long
Oh,
time.
we should strike that.
So we should strike that line.
Probably.
Agree.
Which one?
Line 3, where's
So line 3, we are striking, each report shall be signed by the parents and returned promptly to the school.
I feel left out. That's the way every one of my report cards were signed.
Dr. Sullivan, will we be, and I'm totally talking to you as a parent right now, will we be sending out something to parents on where they can access or how to access the report
Yes.
cards on
Yeah.
Skyward?
Yeah.
Because that has been,
A pain, yes. It's part of the reason we will hopefully not be with Skyward in a couple of
okay.
years. But
If we can send that, probably, I hate to say it, but probably in every quarter, once report
Probably.
cards are ready.
yeah, it's a good idea.
James Evans. Always remember.
Any other comments or questions?
Public service announcement.
Move to approve with changes.
Thank you, Ms.
Second.
Darby. Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Policy 4.602, grade point average. This just adds cleanup language to match the state policy and other board policies.
Move to approve.
5 points.
It was in another policy, but we missed it in this one.
Okay.
Yep. So this just cleans it up.
Any comments or questions?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Darby.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
4.605, graduation requirements. We postponed this one from the meeting on April 29th of this year. And this updates participation in school activities for early graduates. This is one of the ones that we wanted to gather information from the principals. And this is what they discussed and reached a consensus on.
Somewhat of a consensus.
That's
And then ultimately, somebody has to make a decision. So this is what our proposal is.
Do we still, I'm going to ask Ms. Martin, do we still, Dr. Martin, I'm so sorry, this is Dr. Martin, I'm sorry. Do we still have a lot of kids wanting to graduate? I know during COVID, we started more and more kids wanting to graduate early.
Because of the
This year, we had the most number ever. We had over 600 graduate early in December.
Because of the block.
Oh, yeah. But we, we're close to getting kids graduating after third year.
3 years. Yep.
Because you get 8 a year, 3 years, 24, we only require, so, I'd like to approve this, make motion to approve.
Second. Thank you very much. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
4.602, graduation activities. This updates language for graduation participation for students at alternative schools.
Yes.
I'd like to make a modification after number 12. So at the end of line 12, the way this is written, if a senior is enrolled in an alternative school at the end of the school year, the student shall be allowed to participate in graduation activities and let the student has accrued 10 or more unexcused absences. What I propose is that we add to participate, the offense must not have been a zero tolerance offense, and the student must be in good standing at the alternative school. I'm concerned.
That's the one that we,
Can you
Yeah.
repeat that?
Yeah.
Because of the new mics, you guys have to lean a little bit closer if you guys don't
At the
mind.
end of line 12, to participate, the offense must not be a zero tolerance offense, and the student must be in good standing at the alternative school.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't want a student who threatened somebody or that brought a weapon, then come and walk. the
Yeah,
next
and then
day.
walk the next week. No,
That makes sense.
move for approval.
Thank
Second.
you, Mr. Blunt.
Well,
Thank you, Ms.
sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Whoa,
I'm sorry.
whoa, sorry.
Time.
I have a question. Line 13 says that out-of-school suspension shall not be considered an unexcused absence.
Yes.
But on our attendance policy that we're going to look at, it says it is.
Yes,
And
and that is
unexcused.
specifically just for this, because otherwise the kids would be double punished for just graduation activities. So you were right, an unexcused absence is out-of-school suspension. But when we're talking about graduation activities, they would be already in trouble for going to the alternative school and remainment and OSS, and so having it again count against them would almost be like a double.
Could we, at the end of line 12, change it to not to include
Yeah.
OSS absences? Just because otherwise I feel like it's policies like
Yeah.
conflicting one another.
So strike line 13 and say not to include absences from out-of-school suspension.
Striking all of 13?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I was a little hasty. Is everyone done with
Are you
comments?
seeing any issues with this, principal? It's kind of meeting in the middle.
You know, at the alternative school, you earn your keep to get there. I don't know, I think this is part of the punishment to get there, not to be able to walk.
There are repercussions.
Consequences for your behavior.
Okay, let's try this again, I'm sorry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Good deal.
Next.
Next is policy 5.100, personnel goals. Like the other one, this removes the requirement for educator diversity goals pursuant to a change in state law.
Move for approval.
Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Vaughn.
Hey,
Thank
question,
you.
are these goals just for hiring, or is this training, or both?
Hiring.
Hiring.
Okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Okay, next is policy 5.115, assignment and transfer. This changes the notification requirement to the Board of Employee Transfers.
And basically what this does is involuntary transfers, which we have very few of. When voluntary transfers occur, we talked about quarterly, didn't we? Or did we talk about monthly? Coach Martin, we talked about, I think we're going to do it quarterly. We're having HR compile these, the list of involuntary transfers. The only time you have an involuntary transfer is if you have a reduction in staff at one school to reduction at the next. It says at the next regular scheduled meeting, I'll probably just do that through email instead. So I've updated you all in the past, like if we moved 3 positions from Blackman Elementary to Browns Chapel, this would be that type of situation of like we did last year.
So could
Yes,
we say the board shall be notified of involuntary transfers by
Via
director of schools via email?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Does the principal get to make a choice about who he?
No, it's in procedure. It is last hired in the district, volunteers first, last hired in the district. And then you move on, then you just keep going down the list. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Could you repeat the line there?
The board shall be notified of involuntary transfers by director of schools via email.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Policy 5.119, employment of retirees. This updates requirements for employment of retirees pursuant to a change in state law. And these are quite big changes.
Yes, Dr. Sullivan.
Some of the biggest changes, I think TSBA talked about this as well this weekend, was that you can't have a prearranged agreement with someone. And so when somebody retires, there has to be an opening and there can't be a prearranged signed agreement. There's not a penalty on the district, but there will be a penalty for the employee to where they will be then taxed at both rates. And so that is going to be something that when we communicate to our employees that they've got to be aware of because the comptroller's office is looking at two groups of people. And I don't know if they shared this or not. They're looking at teachers and they're looking at police officers because these are the two main impacted people. So, again, not a penalty to the district if there's a prearranged, but it is a penalty to the employee.
So if they want to come back to the district, it has to be arranged after.
They have to wait
60 days, has to post as an opening, and then you can hire. There can't be a prearranged.
That will be after 120 days.
Yeah, someone already made the statement that, hey, yeah, I'm gonna retire and come back.
And it has to be a hard to fill.
Yes, it has to be hard to fill.
What was that last part?
Has to be hard to fill.
That's right.
Has to be hard to fix.
Yes.
Have we let the educators that have done this in the past, have we let them know that this is coming down the line?
Yes, the ones that, we had less than we expected. I thought we had in the hundreds. Last year we had less than 20.
Oh, wow.
So it was a lot less than I expected.
Insane.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Ms. Sharp.
I'm just glad that they didn't do away with this altogether
You and I both.
because it has helped us immensely. And I kind of see, you know, I mean, it's good. It's good for our teachers and those that want to retire. And it was beneficial to us as well. So I'm glad that they didn't sunset it because that was some of the discussion before.
It can't be just our district that's been benefited.
No.
I'm sure Williamson County and Wilson County as well.
And I'm concerned if retirees don't start following this, they will sunset it.
Move to approve.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sharp. Thank you, Ms. Rosales. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Next is policy 5.303, personal and professional leave. This adds classified staff to be able to retain earned personal days, up to 5 from year to year. Is that correct, Dr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Sharp. Ms. Darby, rather.
I was just gonna say move to, I was waiting
Okay.
to go ahead and approve it, but I don't know if anybody has questions.
Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Move to
Madam-
approve.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. Thank you, Ms. Sharp. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Policy 5.305, family and medical leave. This adds clarifying language to the paid parental leave pursuant to changes in state law.
This isn't long.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Okay, just like the previous several ones, policy 5.500, discrimination, harassment of employees. This adds the definition of anti-Semitism pursuant to a change in state law.
Any questions or comments?
Move for approval.
Second.
Hold on. Did someone over here have a question?
I was going to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So, well, substituting, even though they're not a substitute teacher, but it's an EA that is substituting in the class, will that be applied to them as well?
We're not there yet.
That's the next one.
That's the next policy.
This is attendance.
We're on 5.500, discrimination and harassment of employees.
Yes.
What's next?
Oh, well, I was a little ahead.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Creasy. All in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then passes. Next. Now we're on substitutes.
5.701, substitute teachers. This updates the number of days that a substitute teacher can teach without a license from 20 to 30 consecutive days.
This is a good thing.
I was going to say, this is probably very helpful.
Ms. Maxwell? So my question is, how will that apply to the EAs? Because there's going to be instances where EAs are going to be used in the classroom, and it could be more than 30 days. And that has happened in the past before. Oh, wow.
Usually when you have a substitute or an EA, they don't receive substitutes unless it's a specialized position like our structured setting EAs.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Sharp. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Policy 6.200, attendance. This adds language for release time courses pursuant to a change in state law, and also clarifies language for makeup work for unexcused absences. This is a long policy, but the release time courses are on page 6.
We did, a couple of years ago, we had a come to us about several students that were missing. I don't know if it was during Ramadan or something like that. There was Easterish, and but we fixed that, right? They can.
They always can. The issue that you're talking about is a pastor tries to sign a note for all students, and you just
Gotcha.
can't.
But
Has to be the parent.
Has to be the parent, yeah.
Dr. Sullivan?
Yeah.
So if we're removing the 5 days, this is going to come up, so I'm going to
Yeah.
ask. Are we giving them an indefinite amount of time? Are we leaving it up to teachers to decide?
I would leave it up to teachers. Usually, especially as you get into your high school courses, they have it in their syllabus of how much they're going to accept.
I'm just going to,
Yeah.
I think part of the problem you're going to have, especially at elementary, potentially middle school as well, is that if there isn't a set amount of days that parents are aware of, it's going to become, I told your kid, my kid said you didn't, I need to know what the policy is. Because I've run into the 5-day policy already with teachers who tried to do less,
Yeah.
even though 5 days was in our policy. So I get the high school level, if they're giving syllabi and all that kind of stuff. I'm concerned about elementary and middle not having a consistent.
Yeah. We can definitely leave this. What we were really looking at was we do, of course, progress reports, and what you will find at the end of the semester and in the 9 weeks is you usually have some type of makeup day where students turn in most of their makeup work. And so our policy was saying you can turn it in within 5 days of returning, but in actuality, we're allowing a lot more. And so that's what we were looking at by removing the 5 days, was that in practice, we are allowing a lot more than 5 days.
But that would be people not following our policy, correct?
Yep.
I mean, that's a personnel issue.
It is, but it's also a parent issue when they email everyone up here or principals demanding that their kid get the chance to make up work. Yes. And we do.
But I don't think this is probably going to make it worse, quite honestly, because then we don't have anything set. Then it's an indefinite by teacher by teacher by teacher. It's just concerning for me because I'm
Mr. Blunt, I'm going to let Mr. Tiffel go first, and then you've got a thought too. So.
You said this was pursuant to state law. What does the state law say about this?
So the change on page 1 is not a change in state law. The change that's pursuant to state law is on page 6.
Okay.
For the release time course.
Yeah, I mean, I am in concurrence here with Ms. Darby on, I actually have had educators ask me recently, I actually asked Dr. Sullivan about this recently, is whether or not there are timelines that are just stretched out through the entire year. I don't think that really helps in leading kids to the real world of accountability that happens after school's over. So I would like to see some kind of number on here. Plus, I think having a number in here, policy, if there's some discretion as to whether it can be moved up, I guess, is one thing. But I would not want it to be just unlimited, I guess, is where I'm at.
Yes, Dr. Sullivan.
That's not the reality of how schools are working right now. So if the board is willing to take those emails from parents that we are holding the line, that your grades are going to be held to what they are, but that's not the reality of how it's done. Right now, a kid comes, if they have missing work, we have a makeup day and they submit work. Our goal for education is for the kids to learn, not for us to, and I hear the comment a lot from teachers of that's not the real world. The real world is if we don't turn in a project, we're still going to have to work on it until we turn in the project. And so that's something I push back on educators a lot. The real world is you just get a 0 and you don't get any credit. The real world is if you don't turn that assignment in, in the workplace, you're still going to do it. You're going to probably lose your job in the process. I can't kick them out for this. They're not doing their work. But it's, and then you have teachers who, and this gets into a whole grading discussion, takes off points, and you deal with compliance, not academic progress, and so that's a whole different grading conversation. But I definitely hear what they're saying. Larry, anything you want to add to that? Because I mean,
Educator, I always gave my kids plenty of time to turn in because they are there to we want to learn it. I'm not worried about it. But at the same time, I understand teachers waiting 12 weeks after the first
that's too long.
grading period's over and kids want to turn it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not there to fail them. We're there for them to learn. That's it.
Maybe something to be added is within that grading period.
I think it should be within the grading period, because what's the purpose of turning it after the grading period? You can't redo that grade that they got after.
Yeah. You can't up until the high school, up until the semester grade ends.
The only issue you're going to have with doing the grading period is if someone is out at the tail end of that grading period and doesn't return until the new grading period starts, then you are outside of the grading period. And so that's not giving that student the same opportunity that someone who missed the second week of the grading period got. So
that's where I went back to the teacher autonomy. I expect them to be professionals and to act as such. Yeah. But they all don't, but that is the largest majority do.
So they already are doing that now, the teachers. I mean, my son had missing assignments, and he turned them in late. I mean, so it's already happening. So it's not like it's already happening.
And the principal still has the autonomy to overrule the teacher.
Yeah, but not if it's in policy. And in policy right now, it says 5 days of returning. And that's not. This was created, it says in 22, but I'd say that portion's probably been going on for as long as I can remember.
Yes, Ms. Sharp.
You all can disagree with me if you want to, but I think when we're very lenient on them turning in projects, it teaches them very bad habits and sets them up for failure in the future. When things are on the deadline, when our car tags need to be renewed, we need to renew them or we get tickets for not renewing our tags. This maybe should be 10 business days or something like that, but there are just students that will take advantage of this. And it needs to be fair because the other children turn theirs in on time. Okay.
Yes, Ms. Darby.
my concern with leaving it open-ended as well, it has, I think, a great potential to also put more stress on our teachers, because you will have some students who are going to take full advantage of that, and they're going to turn in a mess of stuff at the end of a quarter or at the end of the year. I really think, I haven't gotten any emails that I can recall from parents about this policy. If I did, I'm happy to answer them. That's not a problem for me, because I think when it's in policy and it's clearly stated, it gives the principals, the teachers, the board, the directors something to go back to and say, this has been in policy, your child returned to school on this day, all the makeup work was due by this day. If we have nothing, it really does create an opportunity for a lot of extra work on teachers, for kids to wait till the dead end of the school year and turn in a whole mess of stuff. And they're not learning at that point anyway. They're doing the work to just do the work and get a grade. They're not, I mean, at that point, you've lost the learning opportunity anyhow. I'm in favor of leaving the 5 days personally.
Not a hill I'm going to die on. I'm just going to let y'all know that in reality, teachers are still going to give them more than 5 days.
Can you marry the two, and instead of starting on line 18, if an absence is unexcused, the work missed may be made up for credit within 5 days of returning to school from said absence. Any extension past 5 days will be granted by the teacher for.
I like that.
I like that a lot,
Yes.
yes. There could be extenuating.
At the
At the
teacher's
teacher's
discretion,
discretion.
and
Yep,
then
that's
that way, if I know now if it's a habit or
That's
if
great.
it's a
Yep.
certain circumstance.
Great job.
Dr. Martin?
You're excellent, thank you, Dr.
Way to
Martin.
come in, Kay.
Can you repeat that?
She's done.
You're done.
She's done for the day.
Dr. Martin, can you repeat that?
I knew you were going to say that. I mean, I think that you just, the part that is highlighted and you struck out, you'll add that back in, keep it as was, and add a sentence at the end of line 20 saying something to any extension past 5 days will be granted at the teacher's discretion.
Okay.
Can be extended.
Same thing for lines 21 through 23, but I do believe that 80% of the grade earn needs to stay. I don't know why that's in there.
Get out.
It needs to be removed because the kid is, they've already been punished for OSS. They don't need to have the grade.
Double
punished too.
jeopardy for that student. You know, they've made a poor decision, they've been disciplined, but their academics are not affected.
Otherwise, they're defeated, there's no point. There's no, what's the point, exactly.
So it will just be the same exact thing for out-of-school suspension as well?
Yeah.
Mhm. Any other questions or comments?
Great job, Dr. Martin.
Yes, thank you. Saved the day.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Any
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Policy
Move along.
6.303, questioning, interrogations, and searches. This updates language to reflect that student searches must be carried out by an administrator who has completed state-required training pursuant to a change in state law. And you'll see there is quite a bit of strikeout, but it was just really cleaning it up and merging.
Yes, Dr. Sullivan.
Something I want to point out is that school starts in 2 weeks and we still don't have the training yet from the State Department. And so and we don't start as early as some other districts. So it's a concern right now.
You know,
Two things. Ms. Ridley, I think on line 20, we missed changing metal detectors in that line to weapon detection system.
What page are you on, ma'am?
Page 3 of 4. The principals shall ensure that all, I'm assuming because we changed it on 16, 17, it needs to be changed in 20 as well.
Yes, thank you.
And Dr. Sullivan, line 6 on that same page talks about director of schools shall develop procedures regarding the searching of students' lockers, vehicles, and containers. Do you have those procedures yet? And if not, do you know when?
We'll have the procedures for metal detectors and who can search and all those different types of things that would fall within this. Yes, our principal leads are reviewing them. Well, Larry's probably not reviewing it right now, but it went to them today for review.
Okay, so we should have those
Yep.
by next policy meeting at
Yes.
latest? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I'd like to say
I just got one question, you know, over here. It's got, if a school resource officer searches a student based on having probable cause, the student shall notify the director, correct? Director of schools, sir. I know that, you know, the SROs, that's one thing that we learned this week. The SROs should not ever search unless it's a criminal matter.
That's what this does. That's what they changed in the
This
state law.
takes us over.
Yeah, they have to have probable cause in order for that. And the principal is the one who does the search first.
Correct.
Before the SRO gets
Can
involved.
the SRO, in case you've got a kid who can be a little nasty, and so they've been confronted, they're going to be searched by the administrator. Can he say, hey, Officer Joe, I'd like for you to come with me?
Absolutely, that's the way that we will do it.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, I would hate to
Yep.
leave them to the mercy
Yeah.
of this.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially with a weapon, you wouldn't want a one-on-one we think there's a weapon in the
Always
bag
think
and you
so,
grab it.
I like this, because, our SROs are there also to build relationships with
Agree.
our students. And I think always kind of making them the bad guy is
Absolutely.
not,
Yep.
is not good for our students. So I think this is great. I move to
We've gone
approve.
over this with principals already in June, so this was one of our highlights in June principals
Yay.
meeting. You grab it.
Any other comments or questions?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Policy 6.304, student discrimination, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, and intimidation. This adds the definition of anti-Semitism pursuant to a change in state law.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Villalobos. Thank you, Ms. Tidwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Oh, what I've been waiting for.
Here we go.
All right. Policy 6.312, use of wireless communication devices. We postponed this from our last meeting. We knew that there was going to be a change in state law, so we kind of put that out there for thoughts and discussion. And then this is our proposed policy. It adds language for the use of personal communication devices for students pursuant to the change in state law.
I'll take care of this. I'll just make a motion we ban it.
I second that.
I think that's what this does.
This pretty much
Except they
does,
can-
bans it for the day.
They can, just to kind of what the policy says is, following state law, it does go over that school devices. Some districts are doing differently. Some are allowed during lunch. Our proposed language does not allow during lunch or class change. They do have to have access to them in case of an emergency. And so students' proposal, you see they have 5 different ways that they can have access on page 3. But for our purposes, we went and did a message to parents in June about this as well, that during the school day, they should not have them out whatsoever. The only thing that I would think about a caveat would be is during special events, like if you have homecoming parade, pep rallies, those different types of things. That's part of the experience for our kids. They're going to want to take a picture or something during that time. I'd hate for 1,800 kids to get in trouble for having their phone out during a pep rally. Because they're going to
Taking a picture, making a memory.
Yes. So.
That's a good point. Yes, sir.
I got a question. I'm gonna pull a Bill Clinton here. What is the definition of emergency?
Very good point.
For us, it would be if we were under a tornado watch,
Evacuating the building.
evacuating the building. I would be, but an emergency to
A parent.
a 11th grader may be determined to be something else.
There is no definition in this.
Would you comment on?
I forgot my stuff. Is that
Not an
As a
emergency?
principal, how could we give a little more teeth to this, or is it,
the way-
does it need?
I don't think so, because this is the way they wrote it.
Do what?
This was specifically out of the state.
Oh, we don't need
definition.
monkey with.
We can't move it.
Okay. Just leave it up to you to interpret emergency.
Okay.
We're not going to have, it'll have to be a true emergency, because realistically, during an emergency, we don't want them on their phones anyways.
I'm gonna agree with that, because I can see if we try to tighten it up, there'll be one of our 52,000 children that will figure out a way around it. That's gonna be a lawyer.
Oh, yeah. Do you get any of, I left my project at home. I left my paper
Not
at
an
home.
emergency.
On the dining room table.
Not an emergency.
Mama needs to bring it to me.
How did we ever make it without
I
cell
don't
phone?
know.
I know.
Ms. Maxwell.
Yes.
All right, so this essentially does ban the cell phone between school hours.
They can have it on them, they just can't have it out.
Not dangerous.
Right. Does it mention that having it turned off here? I thought that I saw that. Turned
No,
off.
and so my response
Can't
would
have
be,
it
we wouldn't check to make sure they were off. If it goes off, then it would be follow our discipline procedures, because I feel like when we start checking whether or not they're off, I think that's gonna take a lot of time. But the expectation is that they're silent or whatever, not out. And if a teacher sees it, it'd be the same as it going off.
That's fair. I like that.
The language says right now that are stored and not in use, but not turned off because again, the emergency is fine.
As long as it's on silent or vibrate.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
But if it goes off during class,
Be disciplined. Yep. I was about to say the bathroom, they're gonna, bathroom.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Oh, I know the question I wanted to ask related to this. Now, and this may take care of my emergency thing, because dentist appointment gets changed or something like that. Every student has an email address, right? And
Yep.
every parent should know their student's email address.
Yes, they should.
So if there is a change in maybe pickup, your dad's getting you instead of me getting you,
Call the front office or
We can
email
still
your
call the
teacher.
front office.
and we'd still do it the old-fashioned
And
way.
take-
We'd
still
still go to the
bring
front.
you a
So
note.
One-on-one.
that
They still have-
alleviates a lot of this,
Mhm.
in my view.
They still have computers as well,
Yep.
one-on-one.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So we've got they have access to computers and they have an email address so that the parent can be in communication with them that way. Silent. Okay, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
got another question on
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
something that was brought up, and that I mentioned this to Dr. Sullivan as well. They can only have access, when they're on our internet, they can only have access to certain websites. But I've heard that a lot of students are using VPNs. Do we need to get around that requirement? A lot smarter than myself. So do we need to put anything in here about VPNs and their usage? I know that Williamson County did that, so I'm not sure if that's something that we want to consider as well.
Not against that. I don't know how we would ever catch them,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
but I'm
Well-
not against it. I mean, they're gonna,
If you're, or I guess an example would be, teacher says you can have them out for some kind of educational use. And then my teacher's walking around, she sees that, dude over here is on YouTube. Clearly not using it for the educational purposes that it was set out for, but the way that he got around that is by using a VPN. So if you just have the language in there, just keeps a clean policy. I can make a suggestion at the board meeting about it, and I'll have Dr. Sullivan send the Williamson County policy out about that.
Yep.
Our students watch a lot of YouTube videos in class.
they sure do.
But otherwise, I'm for it.
Okay. And who just made the motion? Ms. Sharp? And we need a second, please.
Second.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Next is policy 6.4031. This is the head lice. This was postponed from our meeting on April 29th of 2025.
I suggest we leave it as is.
I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Need a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught.
Wait, I had a question. What were the changes? I know we had a
We're
lot
not
of
making any
questions.
changes.
We're
just
gonna keep it the way
as
it is?
Mhm.
I thought the concern was that they were still allowed to be in the classroom, so
They are,
that's not
but the
concern anymore.
other change makes it even more lenient.
I'm sorry?
The proposed changes made it even more lenient, and I don't think any of us were necessarily comfortable with that, even though that is what part of the state law implies. I like our policy being a little bit tougher.
So did I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Creasy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Policy 6.411, student wellness. This adds language to increase the amount of physical activity for elementary students. This is pursuant to a change in state law.
Move for approval.
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Darby. Yes, Dr. Sullivan.
I think this is a good thing. I do think we need to just be cognizant that there is a lot of concern amongst elementary educators because they feel like their livelihoods are tied to their test scores. And it's that many minutes at the end of the school year, you're taking 20 or 30 instructional days away. So we hear that concern. I hate that our teachers have been pressured by the system into feeling that way. I think that's the unfortunate part, is that we want our kids to have physical activity, have fun. School should be fun. And I hate that over the last couple decades that teachers are more worried about that necessarily, and myself included, I'm worried about it.
Well, there's a small chance that we will take some of that testing away. It won't be as intense as it's been on, so that's kind of the rumor. Yes, Ms. Sharp.
Has anyone sat down, but I don't think that they have, I bet there's some people that have a good idea of how legislated our classrooms are.
It's
and
ridiculous.
how little really freedom that teachers have
ridiculous.
for instructional time.
It's
And I
ridiculous.
think until we get away from that, our schools are not going to.
I 100% agree. When we looked at the time, so the state has an RTI manual that dictates how much time should be for instruction for each. There's not enough time already, and this just, you add in all the requirements for instruction, the requirement for physical activity, the requirement for lunch, the requirement for related arts. You need an 8 or 9 hour school day for what is already legislated to happen. So you're exactly right.
Yes,
Couldn't agree
Mr.
more.
Vaught.
I don't want to get off the subject long, but I want to ask a specific question here. Is that the State Board of Education
General Assembly.
not advocating? No, I'm saying that we know our state legislators are passing these policies, these laws, these everything. But there's a disconnect between the classroom teacher and our state legislator, and unless they have real good friends that's in the education department. So should it be the State Board of Education or the Education Department and the Secretary of Education that should be validating all of this? I just want to know who I need to work on. That's what I want to know. I'm not afraid. That was going to come out wrong. Yeah, I'm not afraid to have a discussion with any of them. I just don't know who should be our advocate there to explain how this is really working.
I don't believe the department.
That's my question.
I don't feel like the department's an advocate in this type of situation.
They step back, don't they?
Yes, yes.
That's what I feel.
In their
Okay.
defense, they are, if you look at the state and TCA, what the requirement is of the Commissioner of Education, it is to be a liaison to the General Assembly. So past decade or so where it was focused on instruction was great, but that probably wasn't following what the requirement was in TCA of the Commissioner of Education.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think that there was a group of parents
Yes.
that really pushed this.
Correct.
And there is some studies about the
Yep.
more physical exercise, probably less behavioral problems and things like that. But
Oh, I agree. Yes.
I think that we do need to sit down and look at what all we charged our teachers to do and what little time they have.
That's what I'm getting back to.
Yeah.
I think this
Take
is
its
right.
time from, you're gonna take it from instructional time.
That's the problem, yeah, came from instruction. The only other part I would bring up is that the other part of this law says that you cannot use physical activity, removal of that for discipline
Yeah.
and punishment. And so we can be creative in that. We can say, we can't take physical activity, but you had missing assignments. You need to go walk to the tree and back for 10 minutes. And so that's your physical
Gotta walk
activity,
the track.
but you're not going to play with your
Not gonna
friends.
play with your friends.
So we can be creative with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions? Okay. I'll
Increase
take-
instruction
Motion?
day.
Move to approve. Thank you, Ms. Rosales. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Just a few more, y'all. Just a
getting
few
there.
more. Hang in there. Policy 6.600, this is student records. It adds language requiring student records to be transferred within 5 business days. This is pursuant to a change in state law. So if one district is requesting from another, we have 5 days to send those on.
So moved.
Is there any penalty if they don't do it?
No.
No.
So the district that I'm thinking of, we still won't get them in 5 days, but
That's,
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell.
I'd
All
be
in-
afraid, if you send some of them, I'd be afraid to send the kid back.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we are almost home free.
Policy 6.709, student fees and fines. This adds fines as assessed by the TWSAA for a fan who has been ejected from campus for unsportsmanlike conduct.
So we had this situation this year to where a student was fined, school was fined multiple times. So if a student is the reason that they are getting fined, then we are requesting the student needs to pay the fine, not the school.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's, yes.
Because right now our schools are the ones getting fined.
Yes.
Parents are different, but for individual students, like you've been warned and you still come back, and when the officials know who you are as a high school student across multiple sports.
Can we, are these athletes or these?
No.
Then we can ban them also from.
They were.
Oh, anyway, gotcha. Okay. Okay.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Goulian. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Last one, and this should be easy.
Last but not least, this is our only new proposed policy, and it's policy 1.1021, which is student board member. It adds language authorizing a student board member pursuant to a change in state law, so we don't have to have a student board member, but we do have to have a policy. And you see there are a few blanks for this committee to fill in.
Can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
For the insert time frame, if the board ever wanted to add one, September 1st. And then the end would be June 1st. And then selection, I think we put to be determined.
Selection, what?
To be determined.
Yeah, I don't think you could work through that.
I don't think
I don't think, no,
any
we don't,
interest on the board.
we don't need to go down that
entertain this,
track.
but this way we are following what the law says we have to
Right.
follow.
Ms. Maxwell,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we do not have a student board member. We can add the language, but I know we have the policy, so we'll add the language that Dr. Sullivan suggested here, but that we do not have one.
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Thank you. That would do it.
Before we conclude, I just want to make sure, which policy do the board members want to see on Thursday? I know transportation for sure. Any other ones that you think we need to? Cell phones?
We okay with cell phones, because the board can approve it, then we can start messaging.
Yep.
Ms. Monica?
Yes.
I mean, there were several of them that were just straight pursuant to state law, so we could do a large portion of those. Like, think the anti-Israel one or whatnot, we could do those as well. I mean, those that we didn't even have any discussion on, I don't see why we wouldn't just include those.
The problem is the turnaround for me.
Oh, for you. All right, I'll tell you what.
This is a selfish reason. I have some other things going on.
Which
before-
ones do we need to get started off
Which
with
are
at the beginning of the year? Cell phone
absolutely required.
Transportation.
and cell phone.
And
Cell phones.
Cell
yes.
phones.
Okay.
All right.
But the cell phone was for the VPN, correct?
Yeah, you can.
We can discuss
I'm
that.
not
then.
against
I'll
that
get it
at
to
all.
Dr. Sullivan. He'll get it out to you
Against
guys.
that whatsoever.
So we don't have to have that one this week, no?
Cell
Because
phones,
we
we would
passed the
like,
cell phone.
we
It's
passed
the
it here,
VPN.
but the board hasn't approved the cell phone policy change. So we need the board to approve the official cell phone. So we
There's no way for you.
Okay. Schools, most of the schools are waiting to put something in their
Okay.
school handbooks as well.
Okay. Is that it? Okay.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.